Arts. I'm John Brennan, managing partner of John Joseph Coffee. And my guest today is Executive Director of River Arts and member of the Chamber Board, Board of Directors for the State Sauk Trail, lead advertiser for John Joseph Coffee. I'm sure I'm missing like 8 different boards and volunteer things that you do, but
no, those are the
Lindsey
highlights.
Giese. Yeah, Lindsey Giese. You don't need to be introduced because this is the show that you've been hosting for me for 38 episodes.
This is so
You're just kind of keeping my seat warm, right? Like finally I'm gonna take over.
Yeah, you need to start pulling your own weight here.
I should. But yeah, so cheers. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for
Sorry.
I'm gonna try to be a good guest and not take over.
Yeah, no, don't try and like talk over me or please.
Ready.
Okay. So I like to, or you like to start every episode with the guest kind of introducing themselves. So go ahead and try and ruin all my questions that I have for you.
All right, I'm ready. I've got a good summary here. Hi, I'm Lindsey Giese. I am a 2003 graduate of Sauk Prairie High School, proud 4-year executive session member. Also, I do have to go all the way back and say I was in the first year of middle level motion, which was the first middle school show choir that Denny Kahn started way back. Went on to Viterbo University where I double majored in arts administration and music theater. Did some arts admin stuff along the way there too. Was in Fab 50s Live at Chula Vista for 5 summers. After I graduated college, I started singing on cruise ships. I did that for about 4 years. Lived in Argentina for 15 months, singing and doing random things there. Moved back, and starting in 2012, worked for River Arts Inc. And now I'm here and loving it.
So you talked a little bit about Sauk Prairie and executive session. One of the things, and I talked to a lot of people that know you, and we've known each other for 15 years probably. And one of the things that has come up is where your early influences were based on. Like where did the arts come out in you, and how did they come out, I guess?
So I would definitely credit the Sauk Prairie music program with me helping me find my passion for music. I remember when I was 9 years old, my sister was in show choir, and it was the 1994 Big River year, which is the big year in executive session history. And at that time you could still go and watch rehearsals. So I would go with my mom and I would sit and watch my sister rehearse. And I just got hooked. I learned all the choreography. I'd go home and do it. And from then on, I knew it. I knew I had to perform.
Sure. Were your parents artistic like this, or was it mostly your sister?
They both can sing. My mom only sings in church. I haven't heard her sing other places, but she can carry a tune. And then my dad has got a really good deep bass voice. And my grandma sang. And so, yeah, there's nobody else, I think, wanted the spotlight or to be the center of attention or perform.
Sure.
But they're all pretty good singers.
Yeah. Do you think that the arts scene in Sauk Prairie kind of helped push this, passion, or do you think it was mostly just yourself, your love of it?
Oh, it's definitely a little bit of both. I think without the arts scene here, I don't think I would have known what possibilities existed or that it was a career path. Or that just there's so much more to it than just performing or the business side. Like there's just a lot of different aspects of the arts and how the arts impacts any career. So that's a whole nother topic, but I definitely think the Strong Music program helped with that. I did this is so silly, but I'm glad I did it because I love listening to the audio recordings, but I used to record myself on cassette tapes, singing a cappella. And it's
Sure.
horrible. It's horrible. And I would just like re-record over and over again. And so I know like what exists today was like my final round where I thought it was phenomenal, the best I could ever get it. And it's so bad. But I think that helped too, as I
Yeah.
constantly wanted to learn and grow and try new things.
Do those tapes still exist?
They are out there
Yeah. Fantastic. That's
in a
so
safe.
we all can look forward to that. That's someday those will be unearthed and yeah.
Maybe. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
What when you graduated high school, what did you envision? What did you think was about to occur? Do you
Oh,
remember?
do I remember? No. I
No.
remember I remember being raised very like practical, like, and I did okay in school, so I could have chosen another career path. I think that would have been um in general considered like an easy path, like
Mhm.
accounting, or like, not that those are easy careers, but once you get your degree then you can find a job and it's stable and you can raise a family and like, so I remember struggling with that decision. But ultimately when it came to it, I wasn't ready to give up. I just felt like I needed to be in the arts, like I didn't want to let that go. And so I
Yeah.
did start with music theater only. And then my sophomore year, I added the business degree. I think probably to balance out that like stable person in me and I knew I didn't want Broadway was not a dream that I had. I didn't want to perform forever. I just knew I wasn't done performing. So
Sure. Wow, that's like a very realistic view of things for a 19-year-old. Like that's
yeah. And I've talked to my parents a lot about it. I do remember sitting in Sue and Karen's office many times talking about that as well and thinking like, well, I know that there are people that are probably way better than me or talented, or it's not even about who's the most talented, but about XYZ. Like I felt like I had a clear picture of what the industry was.
yeah.
Um, but I followed my heart.
Yeah. I feel like Sauk Prairie, and I guess I've been in other school districts, I've been in other towns. So I feel like Sauk Prairie produces an inordinate amount of people that work in the arts and not necessarily performing, but just in the field somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether it's like you or Nick Dingman, working at the River Arts Center now, Matt, these are people that were wonderful performers and did great work for Sauk Prairie and stayed with it and were able to find good positions in the field. Like
Yeah.
that's
Well, that's why it's fun to do the alumni show, the Aspire show that we've done 2 times now, and we are gearing up for a third when it's safe to do so. Because there just is a lot of talent and just so much variety and yeah.
yeah, cool. So you graduated from college and you started out into your career path and you started with performance, right?
I did. Yeah, it was crazy. It was my first, I graduated in December of 2007. And in January 2008, I went to my first cruise ship audition and got the job, which blew my mind because they prep you for the fact that you are going to get rejected so many times. Now, so I was excited. But I got the job in January. I didn't start till April. And so in the meantime, I was like, I'm going to keep working on my audition skills and put myself out there. And I bombed a million, like I probably literally like 6 auditions between January and April. So I'm glad I got that January
Sure.
job.
Yeah. So out of the people that I talked to, a lot of people were very curious about your cruise ship experience. I know like 2 weeks ago you talked to Rory and he spoke about cruise ships a little bit, but one of our friends, Tracy Thompson, was wondering like stuff like, what was your favorite destination and what did you do on the ship and what were you bored? Like what was what was it like?
Yeah, that is interesting and hard to sum up. I did 4 years and I worked for both Celebrity and Holland America. And each experience is a little bit different depending on the cruise line, but also you mentioned Rory's interview, the work that he did on the ship, even though we were both in the arts, like the production side of things, the work that I did was still different. So will have different perspectives. And then how long your cruise is makes a difference in how much work you do and where you're cruising. So
Yeah.
you definitely could talk about it forever
Mhm.
because there's a lot of different aspects to it. But just to answer those kind of specific questions, I am really interested in history. So I liked the ports that had um, just interesting places you could explore and some things that were a little off the beaten path. So some of the things that come to mind, I really liked Peru, and I guess this part isn't the history, but I did 2 contracts in Alaska. So I was in Alaska for the summers for 2 years. And it's gorgeous. And I think people are just like, oh, why would I want to take a vacation where it's cold? But first of all, it's not like really cold in the summer. It's awesome and beautiful and lots of hiking, and just did some really, really cool things while I was
Nice.
there.
Yeah.
Was I bored? Probably at some point. I mean, you're getting paid to travel all of these places that would be a dream to go with your loved ones, but you're going without anyone you know. Like you're experiencing all these really cool places with friends that you make while you're on the contracts, but it's different.
Mhm.
But I had a 35-day cruise in Hawaii and Tahitian Islands. And of the 35 days, I remember I worked, I think 5 days. So I had 30 days, and you're paid the same. So I had 30 free days to just vacation by
Yeah.
myself. So
Wow.
a lot of people ask like, well, you must be working all the time. No, I went ashore, I went to the beach, I skydived, I swam with stingrays and reef sharks and crazy stuff. So
Yeah.
no boredom, no, not really so
Yeah.
much.
That's good. Yeah. Did you have other responsibilities at all?
Um, I didn't. I chose to work for the excursion company, which work for meant I could go for free on these excursions, and in case they needed assistance, I was supposed to help, but they never
Sure.
need assistance. So that's how I got to fly, or not fly. I didn't fly the helicopter, but I was in a helicopter to hike on a glacier in Alaska and snorkeled in Alaska. And so I got to do all of those things for free, which was pretty cool. And then on one contract, I worked for the jewelers. So I modeled really expensive jewelry.
Oh,
So, but
nice.
I got paid for that separate. I didn't have to do it. So it
Sure.
was really nice.
Yeah. Would with your experience, would you go on another cruise ship just as a guest?
Yeah. And I got to do it I did one, a week long one. Yeah. I would go back for
Yeah.
sure. I get horribly motion sick. Uh,
Mm.
so I definitely need like, give me all the drugs to be okay. And when I'm not performing, that's fine because you can take whatever and not have to worry. When I was actually on the ships, it was tough, but I got through it. But
Yeah.
oh, for sure, I would go as a passenger.
Mm.
I think cruise ships are wonderful.
Nice. Yeah, good. My mom goes on a lot, so I'm glad you said that. That
I, now she'll
little.
keep going. Was I just going to ruin it for her if I said no?
Well, secretly my future inheritance was maybe saying, maybe if she just says like you wouldn't, like maybe that'll help, but no.
No, she should do the 35-day Tahitian cruise for sure.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So in your introduction, you mentioned so post cruises, you lived in Argentina for 15 months,
I did.
and you said you survived by singing in random places. Are you talking about like busking or like what?
No, I wish that I was talented enough to do that. I have a lot of respect for buskers.
Yeah.
In that culture, they have quinceañeras, which are the parties for 15-year-olds, and they are like they take our version of Sweet 16 to a whole nother level. So they had like basically production shows. So I worked for
Oh, wow.
a company uh, and sang for those
Okay.
shows. I mean, that was just for a little part of the time. The rest of
Sure.
the time I was teaching English and walking dogs and nannying and doing all sorts of just random things and learning about the city and another culture. And it's a beautiful
Oh,
place.
that's awesome. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So, so after that, you took all this international professional experience and production experience, and you came back to Sauk Prairie, and you have applied it. I assume. Like, what do you, are there specific like things you feel like you've brought that maybe didn't exist in Sauk Prairie before?
I don't know. I don't know about that necessarily because I do have a lot of love for Sauk Prairie and I do think it's always been rich in the arts and it blows my mind that an organization like River Arts Inc. even exists in a town of this size.
Mhm.
And that has continued to grow and so I don't necessarily know that I brought any special skills from my experience. I think the biggest thing about this job, well, any job that somebody has, like, is to be passionate about it. And so I definitely feel I know that I love what I'm doing, and so I think that the love for the job has helped.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's great. You mentioned Aspire. Is that a 2021 idea or
We had a whole
2022?
this 2021 season, which started in July and goes till next June, is the 20th anniversary of the River Arts Center. So we had a whole bunch of programming planned, and obviously we continue to adapt. Uh, and we're instead of saying pivot, I'm saying twirl. We're twirling through this.
Yeah.
That sounds more fun. But we had an Aspire plan for March of 2021. We did make the call to change that just because it's a trickier one to plan. It involves a lot of travel. And when we do it, we really want to do it fully and celebrate fully the way that it should be. So we're kind of on hold to if it'll be in the end of 21 or the spring of 22. We're kind of watching how things go, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's in the works as well.
So why don't we pivot a little bit, unless you have something else you want to, or twirl, to a couple of different little fun things that I've brought to the table.
Let's do it.
So we have a speed round, which will include quick answers on your behalf, or we have viewer questions, different people that have watched maybe past interviewees, or yeah, which one would you rather do right away?
Let's do this. Let's get the speed round.
Okay.
Ready.
All right. Ready?
Okay. Yes.
Favorite musical? Oh,
Wicked?
yeah. Okay.
No, no, Dear Evan Hansen. Dear Evan Hansen.
Type of food?
Sushi.
Uh, if you could book any act in the world, who would it be?
Celine Dion.
If you could perform in any production, what would it be?
Wicked.
Your favorite vocalist?
Well,
Yeah.
Celine, obviously.
Yeah. Your favorite install that you've ever done at River Arts Center?
Oh, the gallery install?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
I think you asked this of Christina, so.
I did, but I feel that was cool. Her answer was our Warhol exhibit, which was awesome, but I would credit her more with that install. She really did a lot of that work.
Sure.
And so like one that I had a bigger hand in is probably we biennially do a Wings and Water exhibit. So maybe the first time we did that was pretty awesome.
Nice. Your best professional moment, most proud?
You know, this is funny. There might be something else since then, but the first thing that came to mind was in my senior year of high school, we performed at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, and I sang in the solo competition, and I got to sing on that center circle on the Grand Ole Opry, and I won that competition, and that was pretty awesome.
Wow, that's good. Yeah, you were an amateur. You weren't a professional, though. So
I mean, I'm clearly I still probably am.
well, I mean,
But When I was on cruise ships, when I was on ships, passengers like several times said, "Wow, that was really good. Have you ever considered doing this for a living?" And I was like, well, I mean, I sort of am. I'm getting paid for this.
Oh goodness, that was super backhanded. Man, that was cruel. Favorite Brennan? Oh, this isn't fast enough. You need to answer.
Mary?
I knew you were going to say that. Like, that is clearly the correct answer. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. I think that's it for speed round. That was really easy. I should have made that way harder.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah, I guess. But you took your time. You didn't even answer that fast. So thanks.
Shoot.
All right.
I'll speed it up post editing. Oh,
okay. All right. Viewer questions. Matt B from Prairie du Sac asks, do you feel any pressure like living and working in the town you grew up in?
No, I think the opposite.
Okay.
I think I feel like family.
Nice. That's good. Tiana M asked, what do you have some ways to support the arts during COVID for citizens, for people like us, like out here, other than obviously would be buying them. But.
Wow, look at that question. That is something that we really tossed and turned with, because having events or doing programming, I think when people think about that, they think the reason that we would do it is for the money, like financially. Mm-hmm. But which, if anyone knows anything about the arts, no. The funding doesn't come just from ticket sales or from whatever. Like the funding is through other support. But what we struggled with was knowing that the arts are so vital to mental health. And so we felt like, could we just close up shop and not do anything for this year and just wait it out, get through COVID, spend as little as possible, and just dig deep into our savings and figure it out. Could we have done that? Probably, but we felt like a greater need to support the community in other ways and for their mental health. So the thing that's been the easiest to do right now is just to keep the gallery open, where people can, it's very quiet. There's maybe one person in here at a time. People can just look around at beautiful art and in a safe way. And sometimes it's just important to get out of the house, and there's not a lot of safe opportunities for that right now. So we're happy to be a safe place for that. We just recently put together some art kits for youth in the community. So hopefully that helps some of our kiddos. But then we're doing some live streaming and things. We're trying to find ways that we can still pay some musicians and some artists during this time. So yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's like a million things I'm not thinking of. We've had like a pretty robust amount of programming things. A lot of it's virtual. But we're trying to do what we can, mostly for people's mental health, because this is a hard time.
Christina C asks, when are you going to clean up all those coffee cups on your desk?
Stop it, Christina. She knows that every Friday I take out my to-go cups that I accumulate.
Yeah, so there's none there right now, like except for the one?
Well, there's this one, and then there's this one.
Sure.
And there's this one.
Okay, so yeah.
So I failed this Friday.
It's fine. I probably have more, but I sell coffee cups, so that's fine.
And now she's fired. Just Christina C, you're fired. Just kidding. Don't ever leave.
Yeah, the second you do that, I think she'll have like 10 job offers. So
I think so. Yeah.
Good luck.
She knows this is a lifetime commitment. We're good.
Nice. Um, Tracy Thompson had another question. She was wondering how you keep your work-life balance because, and she mentioned this. She said that it feels like River Arts is you. You definitely, portray the, or at least treat River Arts like it is your own. Is what I'm trying to say. Like, how do you balance like
Aw,
your life like that?
that's very sweet.
Yeah.
I that's something that I've just had to learn over time. I know when I first started and when I was first executive director in 2013, it's about 7 years ago, and there was no other person. There was no Christina then, no other part time. Um, I probably was working like 70 to 80 hours a week, just trying to do it all. And so I've just learned over the years, probably have gotten more efficient, but no, I think that's something that you have to, I sort of have to like schedule too and say like this is my time for work, and then I need to go take a walk now or go do this for me. I am guilty of checking my emails and stuff over the weekend, like a lot of people who love what they do. So I don't even consider that work. So I feel very lucky, and I've got a great board who wants me to keep things balanced, so they're not pushing for me to do anything. So, but
I
I
think
think
it's a good sign that you don't consider checking your emails work. Like that tells me that like you enjoy what you're doing. Like it's just you're trying to keep in contact.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. If somebody wants to work with River Arts, displaying their art, like what should they do?
That's a good question. We do have a submission policy. The first criteria that I always tell people though is that we only represent local artists, so you need to live within 35 miles of the gallery.
Sure.
And then the first step is really just to submit images of the work. Some people just like will come in and try to show us, but we have a jury, so it's not just me picking my friends to be in the gallery. There is a process, but we try to keep it as simple as possible because we don't want to discourage anyone who's just starting out or professional. I mean, you could be 18 and be. I think the youngest person we represented here, she was in college, so I think she was 19. She was a phenomenal fiber artist, and yeah. So the first step is like just send us photos of your work.
Yeah.
And if you're missing something, we'll tell you. So.
A question that I had like randomly, and we could throw it in here, would be, have there been any paths like anywhere along the line, like college, cruise ships, like anywhere along the line that you didn't take, that you still feel like, oh man, should have maybe done that? Like,
No, because I feel very lucky to have had the experiences that I've had,
sure.
um, to travel and do that. And then one thing that I didn't expect was to find this job so early in my life. Like, um, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, this is a
Yeah.
dream job for me that when I moved back to the States from Argentina, I knew I wanted to move back to the States, but I wasn't sure if I would move to to Chicago or New York or LA, like to a bigger city. So it was really meant to, when I came to SOC, it was really meant to just be a temporary, like, I had been on ships for 4 years. I had lived out of the country for another year. So it was just sort of like okay, I need to like recalibrate to the States again. So I'll just go see my parents for a while and then figure it out. And then I got this job, and I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting to get a job like this that I loved this much at such a young age, because I could see myself being
It's
here.
just kind of meant to be, I guess. Yeah.
So I wouldn't even call that a regret. I guess it's just unexpected. I got to where I am earlier than I thought I would in my life.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. Are you ever going to leave? Are you leaving us?
Yes.
Okay.
You heard it here first. No.
Nice.
Can you imagine if I was like, actually, this is my goodbye?
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
but no plans to leave.
Good.
I really like it here. And I just feel like I have so many opportunities to do to take river arts, whichever, to get creative and try new things. And we've opened up the studio space, and now we're adding onto the River Arts Center, and I've been able to help with the trail and public art. And so I feel like I can go to my board with any idea and they'd be like, sure, let's try that out. And so it's really cool to have that power.
Absolutely.
and creativity, and it's really cool.
But it's earned too. It's not like you haven't been successful. Like, you have earned that, that right to be creative, and they trust you. And that's great. You should. Yeah. Well, I think that's all I've got.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for filling in for me and being my mentor, and for bringing John Joseph Coffee to our community.
Oh.
Because we wouldn't have these chats without John Joseph Coffee. Like, it wouldn't exist.
I guess, yeah. I can't wait till we're doing coffee and coloring again. Like, that'll be great.
I do miss, I miss that. Maybe that's what we'll do next, is that you can just watch me color every Saturday.
Well, thanks for joining me on Coffee and Chats. And next time, see you in a couple months maybe, or something like that.
Hope so. Thanks everybody for watching the Coffee Chats too.
Yes. Cheers.
Final cheers.